Hi, I am Dr. K. Sai Prasad Reddy. Welcome to the subject software testing. And today we are going to discuss the topic of fundamental test process. So the name itself indicates the meaning of this process. That is the process which is followed for fundamental testing. Right? That is for testing activities. Now, see here this diagram explains the fundamental test process. Different people will explain this fundamental process by using the different diagrams, different pictorial diagrams, but the concept is same. This is the standard one which you have to follow for the interview purpose, which you have to learn for the interview purpose. See, in fundamental test process, we are having different stages. All these stages are related to testing only. Each and every stage is having different objectives. Each and every stage is having a different tasks. So now we will discuss each and every stage. The first is requirements analysis, test planning and control, test analysis and design, test implementation and execution, evaluating exit criteria and reporting, test closure activities, end. So this diagram represents fundamental test process. Here, regarding this first stage, requirements analysis, which we have already discussed during the SDLC, software development lifecycle, that is during this requirements gathering stage, we have already discussed about this first phase, that is requirement analysis. Now we are not going to repeat. The second is test planning and control. See now. So test planning and control. Here there are two activities. One is test planning. Second one is test control. So in test planning, what are the different tasks? Under test control, what are the different tasks? That we will discuss one by one. In test planning, you have to determine the test objectives. That means for each and every test, we have to determine the objective. That means what is the aim of this test? What is the objective of this test? So like this, there will be some thousands of tests in the project. So each and every test objective has to be defined, has to be determined. Objective means what is the main goal, right? For what purpose we are doing this test, like this. And to achieve this objective, we have to identify some activities. So activity here, activity is nothing but a task. That means to complete this test objective, to achieve this objective for each and every test, we have to do so many activities. So if we want to do this so many activities, we have to identify first what are the activities that we have to perform to achieve this objective. And you have to identify the resources that are required. See, you have to identify the resources. That means resources means the things from which we can extract the information. That is the resources. Like here, see, resources may be like so test documentations. All the test documentations will be the resources, like test plan documentation, test cases, test scenarios, test conditions, right? Use cases, business requirements document, and also test environment. That means, what do you mean with environment? Test environment is nothing but the combination of both software and the hardware. This test environment we will discuss going forward in during the test plan documentation topic. We will discuss this one, right? And estimating the effort that are required, right? That is called person days, how many PDs, that is called PDs, person days, how many persons we have to do for how many days. This is called estimations. Even estimations, again there are two types. One is effort estimation, second one is a productivity estimation. Effort estimations will always address about PD, that is person days. And what about this productivity effort? Right? So that is nothing but how much amount of work that we are going to complete or that we are supposed to do. That is called productivity estimation. Productivity, right? And for all these activities, we have to prepare the schedule. What do you mean by the schedule? Schedule is nothing but for every task. Here, what do you mean by the task? Activity. That means for every activity, that is for every task, there will be a schedule. Schedule is nothing but the start date and the end date of that particular topic for that particular activity. For each and every activity, there will be a schedule. Schedule is nothing but so starting date and end date. Within this starting date and end date, you have to complete that activity. That is called schedule, right? And listing the deliverables. So that means what are the deliverables that we have to prepare? Like what do you mean? What do you mean with the deliverables? All the deliverables which are all the documents which are related to the testing process is called deliverables. And also prepare the exit criteria. You have to prepare the exit criteria. What this exit criteria explains. This exit criteria also we will discuss in depth in the test plan documentation. Right? So simple statement. Exit criteria means the exit criteria explains when to stop testing. That is called exit criteria. Right? And the test control. It is an ongoing activity by comparing the actual progress against the plan. So that means we have planned something. Whether whatever that execution that is happening day to day is happening along with the plan or not. That is called comparison. Comparing the actual progress against the planned progress, against the plan. And analyzing the results and feedback. You have to analyze the results and you have to get the feedback, or you have to analyze the feedback. Performing actions to correct the mistakes or changes. And the decision making. So these are all the test control activities in test planning and control. So decision making means, so there will be so many decisions that we are supposed to take. Your manager, at manager level, he will take some decisions. At the test level, test lead level, he will take some decisions like this. So, and the test control activity will include all these steps. And the test analysis and design. So during this test analysis and design, reviewing the test basis. What do you mean of the test basis? Test basis is nothing but the requirements. So test basis is nothing but the BRS document, business requirements specification document. You have to review the test basis. We have to review the requirements. This we have already discussed in the previous session. Evaluating the testability of the test basis and the test objects. See here, evaluating the testability of the test basis. What do you mean with the test basis? Requirements. So that means as a software test engineer, you have to evaluate whether each and every requirement is a testable or not. That is very important. So I repeat, as a software test engineer, you have to evaluate each and every requirement is a testable or not. So, and also test objects. You have to define the test objects. And identifying and designing of the test conditions. So what are the conditions that are required to do the testing of this particular requirement? Like this. So for example, if there is a requirement, for example, say the login is a requirement. So in order to design the test for the login functionality, you have to identify what are the test conditions that are required, right? And designing and prioritizing the test cases. After designing of the test conditions, then the software test engineers will prepare the test cases. See, designing of the test conditions, designing of the test cases, and the designing of the test scenarios, right? all are the responsibilities of software test engineers. Designing and prioritizing the test cases. So that means designing means writing the test cases. So for each and every requirement, you have to write the test cases. And after writing the test cases, you have to prioritize the test cases. This topic, this statement that we will discuss in depth during the test case designing, right? And identifying and designing the test data. So that means you have to identify and you have to design the test data which is required to test each and every test case. That means, what do you mean by the test data? The data which is used to test that particular test case. That is called test data. So as a software test engineer, you have to identify and you have to design the test data for each and every test case. And so how to design this test data? That is, the test data is nothing but input test data. How to design this input test data, we will discuss in future sessions. This is very big topic, and because the designing of this input test data is also a responsibility of software test engineer. And next is designing the test environment setup. So in order to complete this testing, the testing team should have a separate environment. That the environment name is called test environment. So that is the setup of this test environment that should be designed. Predominantly, actually, your test lead or test managers will take care of this about test environment. And the identification of any testing tools required for this project. If there is an automation planning, then your test manager and the test lead will identify the tools which are required for this testing activity of this project, right? So these are all the different activities of test analysis and the design. And the test implementation and execution. So here, writing and finalizing the test cases. That means simple. See, earlier we have discussed each and every document has to undergo 3 stages. What are these 3 stages? Designing of the document, reviewing of the document, and the freezing and getting the approval from the authorities. So like even the test cases also, first you have to design the test case and you have to finalize the test cases. After designing and finalizing the test cases, you have to execute the test cases manually if it is manual testing, right? So execution is keeping this designed test cases in front of you. According to this test cases, you have to test the functionality. This is called execution, test case execution, right? This, see, just I am giving only the outline. What is the fundamental test process? Now, for the next future, minimum 20 to 25 sessions will be totally on this topic, the entire topics, right? So, and building the automated test scripts, if it is automation testing, and reporting the defects. Executing the test cases means you have to test each and every test case, and if any defects are there, then you have to report the defects, right? Just please keep in mind, just I am giving only the outline. So for the next future coming sessions, at least 20-25 sessions will be based on these entire topics. This is very important topic. Evaluating the exit criteria and the reporting. So you have to evaluate the exit criteria. That means when to stop testing like this. Checking the test logs against the exit criteria specified in the test plan documentation. That means, so the exit criteria has to be defined in the test plan documentation. Exit criteria. What do you mean by the criteria? Criteria, the meaning of criteria is nothing but conditions. Exit criteria means when to exit the testing. That is called exit criteria. And then reporting. So what is reporting? Writing a test summary report for stakeholders. So about this testing, you have to write the test summary report, right? And the test closure activities. So in this stage, checking the completeness of deliverables. Deliverables we have already discussed. And highlighting any issues that remain open. So that means issues are also called as defects, are also called as bugs. So if any bugs are not fixed, if any bugs are open, what do you mean with the open defects? Open defects are nothing but the defects which are not fixed, which are not resolved by the development team. So you have to highlight. This is a very important topic for your interview as well as for your real-time concept. So this is a separate topic. We will discuss very interesting topic and very important also. And finalizing the test bed and analyzing the lessons learned for future releases and the projects and the improvement of the test maturity. So these topics anyway we are going to discuss each and every topic about this test closure activities, right? So please subscribe my channel, share my videos to all the students groups and like my sessions. Please raise your comments in your comment box. Thank you.